Have you ever wondered how a regular boy from a broken family became one of the richest men in the world? This is not just a story about money. This is the story of hard work, vision, and never giving up. This is the story of Jeff Bezos, the man who changed the world with just one idea. Stay with me as we uncover his journey, from a small garage to global domination. Jeff Bezos' life story, a curious boy with big dreams. My name is Jeff. I wasn't born rich. I didn't come from a powerful family. But I always believed something very simple, that I could build something big. I just didn't know what it would be. I was born on January 12, 1964, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My mother, Jacqueline, was only 17 years old when I was born. She was still in high school. My father, Ted Jorgensen, was 19. Their relationship didn't last long. When I was just a baby, they got divorced. For many years, I didn't know my biological father. My real father left and never came back. But life gave me a second chance. My mother met a kind man named Miguel Bezos, a Cuban immigrant. He adopted me and gave me his last name. That's how I became Jeff Bezos. Even though I was very young, I could see how hard my mother and stepfather worked. They weren't rich, but they gave me something better than money: support, love, and education. As a child, I was always curious. I would open up gadgets, break toys, and try to fix them again. My grandfather, who worked at a ranch, taught me how to fix windmills and repair tractors. He once told me, "Jeff, if it's broken, you can always find a way to fix it." That idea stuck in my head. I didn't like wasting time. I even built a small electric alarm to keep my little brother out of my room. I called it security. I was just 10 years old. My family moved a lot. When I was in high school, we moved to Miami, Florida. That's where I fell in love with computers. I started learning programming, and something clicked inside me. I thought, technology can change everything. At school, I was serious. Not the most popular, but always focused. I became valedictorian of my high school class. In my graduation speech, I said, "The future is waiting for us. Let's invent it." But the truth is, I didn't know my future. Not yet. I got into Princeton University, one of the top schools in America. It wasn't easy. Most of the students there were from wealthy families. I wasn't. I studied electrical engineering and computer science, the hard stuff. There were nights I didn't sleep. Days when I felt like giving up. But I didn't. After graduation in 1986, I started working on Wall Street. I got job offers from top tech companies, but I chose finance because it paid well. I wanted to support my parents and save money. At 26, I became the youngest vice president at a hedge fund called D. Shaw. My life looked great from the outside: high salary, nice apartment, smart colleagues. But inside, I felt something was missing. I didn't want to work for someone else all my life. I wanted to create. I wanted to build. Then one day in 1994, I read a report. The internet was growing by 2,300% per year. That number shook me. Something clicked. I asked myself, what's the best thing I could do with the internet? I made a list: books, music, electronics. Then it hit me: books. Millions of titles, no single bookstore could keep them all. But online? No shelves needed. Just software. That night, I told my wife, Mackenzie, I want to quit my job and start an online bookstore. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, go for it. I had a high-paying job. I had stability. I had comfort. But I chose the unknown. Because I didn't want to live with regret. I didn't want to look back at 80 and say, I wish I had tried. So I packed my bags. I left New York. I drove to Seattle with Mackenzie. On the way, I wrote the business plan for my company. We were eating fast food, sleeping in cheap motels, but I had never felt more alive. In Seattle, I borrowed a small room in a garage. I bought a desk made out of a wooden door, because it was cheap. That garage became the birthplace of a company that would change the world, Amazon.com. But back then, it was just me, Mackenzie, and a dream. That's how it all began. No investors. No fame. Just an idea, a borrowed garage, and a heart full of hope. Jeff Bezos' life story: struggles, failures, and the power of not giving up. Starting a company is not like a movie. There's no music, no dramatic lighting, and no cheering crowd. It's just you, your idea, and a lot of fear. That's what it felt like in 1994 when I left my high-paying job and stepped into an empty garage in Seattle with one dream: to sell books online. We named it Amazon, inspired by the Amazon River, the biggest river in the world. I wanted the name to match my dream, to build the biggest bookstore in the world. At the beginning, there were no customers, no money, and no team. Just a few of us sitting in a small space with computers, working day and night. We used desks made out of wooden doors because we couldn't afford real ones. We didn't even have a proper warehouse. When people ordered books, I would run to local book distributors, buy the books myself, and ship them out. In 1995, we launched Amazon.com. It was simple. No colors. No fancy design. Just a plain website where you could search for books. But to my surprise, within 30 days, we had customers from 45 different countries. I couldn't believe it. I thought, this might actually work. But success doesn't come without pain. We started getting orders, but we couldn't keep up. Books were delayed. Systems crashed. Customers got angry. Some said we were a scam. Others wrote emails asking, "Are you even a real company?" Every mistake felt like a punch in the stomach. I was scared. What if it all failed? One day, I got a call from an angry customer. He yelled at me for 10 minutes straight because his book was late. I apologized again and again. After the call, I sat down and thought, is this worth it? But then I remembered why I started. I didn't leave everything behind just to quit now. So I made a rule. Fix problems fast. Learn faster. Never give up. We started hiring people. People who believed in the dream. We worked like crazy. Sometimes 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. No holidays. No weekends. Just passion. We also started asking investors for money. I pitched Amazon to many people. Some laughed at me. One man said, "Who wants to buy books on a computer? People like bookstores." Another investor told me, "This internet thing won't last." I was rejected by over 25 different investors. One even said, "You'll be broke in a year." It hurt. Rejection always does. But I kept going. I didn't start Amazon to please people. I started it to build something meaningful. Finally, I convinced 20 people, friends and family, to invest a small amount each. Some gave $10,000. Some gave more. I promised them nothing but hard work and a big dream. With that money, we expanded Amazon. We improved the website, hired more people, built better systems. But every step forward brought a new challenge. One day, our server crashed during a big sale. Hundreds of customers lost their orders. I felt sick. We stayed up all night fixing the issue. The next day, we sent apology emails to everyone. Some left, but others stayed. They believed in us. That's when I learned a big lesson. People don't expect perfection, but they respect honesty. Still, the road was not easy. In 1996, big bookstores like Barnes and Noble started attacking us. They called us a small startup that will disappear soon. They even launched their own websites to compete. I was scared again. How could we fight giants? But I told my team, don't focus on competitors. Focus on customers. That became our motto. We listened to every complaint, every suggestion. We improved slowly, step by step. In 1997, we made a bold move. Amazon became a public company. We were listed on the stock market. Many said it was too early, but I believed in the timing. When the news came out, people finally started paying attention. Some media outlets called us the future of shopping. Others still called us a bubble that will pop. I didn't care. I wasn't building a quick success. I was building something for the long term. But right after that, things took another dark turn. The dot-com crash came. Many internet companies started failing. Investors pulled out. Startups shut down. Everyone was scared. Amazon's stock price dropped. People panicked. Some of our early investors called me and asked, "Jeff, should we sell everything?" Reporters wrote articles saying Amazon wouldn't survive. One headline said, "Amazon, dead in a year?" It felt like the world was against us. I had two choices, give up or double down. I chose to fight. We cut costs, made smarter decisions. We didn't lay off anyone. We told our team, this is the time to show who we really are. It was hard. Every day was a battle. But I believed something deep in my heart. If you only do things that are easy, you'll never build anything great. Slowly, things began to improve. Customers kept coming. Orders kept growing. Even when people lost trust in other websites, they still trusted us. Why? Because we always put customers first. We didn't sell dreams. We delivered books. That became the foundation of Amazon, customer obsession. No matter how many times we failed, we stood up again. Looking back, Those early years were full of rejection, failure, fear, and doubt. But they also shaped me. They made me stronger. They taught me one of life's most important lessons. Failure is not the end. It's part of the journey. And that journey was only just beginning. Jeff Bezos' life story. Thinking big, taking bigger risks. After surviving rejection, failure, and the dot-com crash, Amazon was still standing. We weren't just selling books anymore. We were earning trust. People were starting to believe in us. But I didn't want to stop there. The question I kept asking myself was, what's next? When I started Amazon, it was just an online bookstore. But from the beginning, I had a bigger dream. I wanted Amazon to become the everything store. A place where people could buy anything, books, electronics, clothes, toys, all from one website. That idea scared a lot of people around me. Even my own team sometimes said, let's stick to books. We're good at it. But I believed something deeply. If you're not growing, you're dying. I knew it was time to take a bigger risk. So, in 1998, we started expanding. First, we added CDs and DVDs. Then electronics. Then toys. Every time we added a new category, we faced new problems. We had to build better warehouses, hire more people, improve our delivery systems. And not everyone was happy about it. Publishers, music companies, toy brands, some didn't want to work with us. They saw us as a threat. They thought we were just a website with no future. But we didn't stop. We found ways to reach customers directly. We offered low prices, fast delivery, and great service. That became our secret weapon, customer obsession. We didn't do what others were doing. We focused on what customers wanted, even if it meant spending more money or working harder. Some of our decisions didn't make sense to others, like offering free shipping or letting customers return products easily, or spending millions to build new warehouses. Our profits were small. In fact, sometimes we lost money. Investors started asking, when will Amazon finally become profitable? I understood their fear. But I wasn't building for the next quarter. I was building for the next decade. It's okay to be misunderstood for a while, as long as you're doing the right thing. That belief kept me going. In the early 2000s, we launched something that changed everything, Amazon Marketplace. This allowed third-party sellers to sell their products on our website. People thought I was crazy. They said, why would you let other sellers compete with your own products? But I didn't see it as competition. I saw it as expansion. The more products on Amazon, the more customers we could attract. And more importantly, it gave small businesses a chance to grow. It worked. Sales grew fast. More sellers joined. Customers had more choices. It was a win-win. But taking big risks also meant facing big problems. Our systems were not ready. We had technical issues. Some sellers tried to cheat customers. We had to build new tools, new rules, and better protection. It was a constant challenge. But I didn't want to play safe. I wanted Amazon to lead, not follow. So we took another huge risk. We started building our own technology. We created systems that no one else had. One of them was called Amazon Web Services, AWS. Back then, no one understood it. Even some of my closest advisors said, Jeff, we're a retail company. Why are we getting into cloud computing? But I saw something different. I realized that every business in the future would need computing power, storage, and servers, just like we did. And if we built it right, we could offer those tools to the world. We invested millions, built data centers, hired engineers. It was risky, expensive, and full of unknowns. But in 2006, we launched AWS. At first, no one noticed. But slowly, startups and big companies started using it. It helped them build apps, run websites, and store data, all without buying their own hardware. Today, AWS is one of the most profitable parts of Amazon. But in those early days, it was just another wild risk that could have failed. I've always believed, you have to be willing to be misunderstood for a long time if you want to do something truly innovative. But risks didn't stop there. We entered the ebook world by creating the Kindle in 2007. People laughed. Books are for paper, they said. Nobody wants to read on a screen. But we listened to customers. We made the screen feel like paper. We made it lightweight, affordable, and easy to use. The Kindle became a game changer. Millions of people started reading books digitally. We weren't just selling products anymore. We were changing habits, industries, and lives. Each risk we took was scary. But each one was a step forward. Of course, not everything worked. We had failures too. There was Amazon Fire Phone, a product we launched in 2014. We thought it would compete with Apple and Samsung. But it failed badly. Customers didn't like it. We lost millions. That was hard to accept. But I didn't blame the team. I told them, if you're not failing, you're not inventing enough. I've always believed in trying big ideas, even if they fail. Because every failure teaches us something. In fact, I say this often. I've made billions of dollars of failures at Amazon. But the successes pay for them all. As Amazon grew, people began to ask me, what drives you? It's not money. It's not power. It's impact. I wake up every day excited to solve problems, to serve customers, to invent something new, to build something bigger than myself. That's the spirit of Amazon. Not comfort, not safety, but courage. We started with books, in a garage with a wooden door as a desk. Now we were selling millions of products, running global warehouses, building world-changing technology, and creating new industries. And the journey was still not over. Jeff Bezos' life story, leading with vision, not fear. Building a company is hard, but leading that company, year after year, through ups and downs, is even harder. As Amazon grew, I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't do it alone. No matter how smart or hardworking I was, Amazon needed more than just one man with a dream. It needed a strong culture, a clear vision, and people who were willing to think differently. That's where leadership came in. From the very beginning, I wanted Amazon to be a place where ideas mattered more than titles. Where the best idea won, even if it came from an intern. I always told my team, be stubborn on vision but flexible on details. That means we stay true to our big goals, but we're not afraid to change our path if needed. We made bold decisions. Some people called them crazy. Others called them dangerous. But that was the whole point. I didn't want to build a company like everyone else. I wanted to build the most customer-centric company in the world. So I created 14 leadership principles to guide Amazon. These weren't just words on a wall. We used them in hiring, meetings, product launches, everywhere. Let me share a few of them with you. 1. Customer obsession. This was number 1. Always has been. I told my employees, start with the customer and work backward. It doesn't matter what we want. What matters is what the customer needs. Even today, I read customer complaint emails. I've forwarded emails to teams with just one note. That meant fix it now. 2. Invent and simplify. I wanted Amazon to be a place where people were not afraid to try new things. I encouraged teams to think long-term, experiment, and not fear failure. The truth is, I never punished smart failure. I only worried when people stopped taking risks. 3. Think big. Small thinking is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you only aim for small wins, you'll never achieve anything big. At Amazon, we always asked ourselves, if we were starting this project today, what would we do differently? That helped us stay fresh, creative, and bold. Fire handling pressure and criticism. As Amazon got bigger, the pressure grew too. The media started watching our every move. Politicians had opinions. Competitors tried to bring us down. Even customers sometimes questioned our actions. People said we worked our employees too hard. Others said we were killing small businesses. Some called me too rich, too ambitious, or even too robotic. I listened. I reflected. But I never let noise distract me from the mission. I often say, if you want to be liked by everyone, don't be a leader. Sell ice cream. Leadership is not a popularity contest. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard. Some decisions I made were painful. We shut down programs that didn't work. We had to let go of people when things went wrong. I made mistakes too. But I always took responsibility. One of the hardest things about being a leader is saying no. There were many exciting projects we had to reject because they didn't serve our long-term mission. Leadership is also about setting the right pace. At Amazon, we moved fast. I encouraged high-velocity decision-making. I told my team, most decisions should be made with 70% of the information you wish you had. If you wait for 90%, you're probably too slow. That mindset helped us stay ahead of others. Speech balloon writing culture. The power of clear thinking. One thing I did differently at Amazon was banning PowerPoint in meetings. Yes, no slides. Instead, I asked people to write 6-page memos. Why? Because writing forces clear thinking. When you write, you can't hide behind fancy slides or buzzwords. You have to be sharp, deep, and logical. That's how real decisions are made. In leadership meetings, we would sit silently for 30 minutes reading the memo. Then we'd discuss. It felt strange at first, but it worked. It made our decision-making much stronger. Globe showing Europe, Africa, leading beyond Amazon. As Amazon's founder and CEO, I knew I had a responsibility not just to my company, but to the world. We made bold moves for the planet. In 2019, I launched the Climate Pledge, promising Amazon would be carbon neutral by 2040. We started investing in electric delivery vans, solar power, and clean energy projects. I also launched the Bezos Earth Fund, pledging $10 billion to fight climate change. Leadership, for me, wasn't just about business. It was about impact. Rocket bold dreams, Blue Origin. You might think Amazon was enough for me. But I had one more dream, space. As a child, I had loved science and space travel. I watched Apollo missions. I dreamed of rockets and stars. In 2000, I quietly started Blue Origin, a private space company. Its mission was simple and bold: to build a future where millions of people can live and work in space. Everyone laughed. Some said I was trying to escape Earth. But I wasn't. I believed that space was the next great frontier. And like Amazon, Blue Origin was built on long-term thinking. We failed many times. Rockets exploded. Missions were delayed. But we kept going. In July 2021, I flew to space myself. Just a short trip. But for me, it was the dream of a lifetime. Folded hands, what leadership really means. After 27 years as CEO, in 2021, I stepped down and became executive chairman of Amazon. I handed over the CEO role to Andy Jassy, someone who had been with me for years. Some people asked, why now? The answer was simple. I trusted the team. I had built leaders. I had taught everything I knew. And I was ready to focus on other passions like Blue Origin, the Earth Fund, and Day One charity initiatives. Leadership is not about holding power forever. It's about building others up, sharing your vision, and letting new people carry the torch. So what does leadership mean to me? Not shouting. Not control. Not fear. True leadership is about service. About vision. About courage. I didn't always get it right. But I always gave it my best. And that, I believe, is what really matters. Jeff Bezos' life story. The lessons that made me. When people look at my life now, they see the success, the money, the company, the rockets, the fame. But what they don't always see are the lessons behind it all. The quiet moments. The tough choices. The mistakes. The late nights. The doubts. Every step of the way, I learned something new, not just about business, but about life. And today, I want to share with you some of those lessons. Because success is not about luck or magic. It's about learning, again and again. Brain lesson 1. Long-term thinking always wins. From day one, I told my team at Amazon, we are not going to focus on the next quarter. We are going to focus on the next 10 years. This was hard. Investors wanted fast results. Reporters wanted headlines. But I refused to play the short game. I believed in the power of compound growth. The idea that small improvements, over time, lead to massive results. It's just like planting a tree. You water it every day, even when there's no fruit yet. And one day, it gives you shade, fruit, and beauty. That's how Amazon grew. And that's how life works too. Don't rush success. Plant seeds. Water them daily. Be patient. Fire lesson 2. Failure is not the enemy. I've failed many times. We launched the Fire phone. It was a disaster. We made bad hires. We launched features nobody wanted. We lost millions. But I never hid from failure. In fact, I celebrated it. Because I knew, if you're not failing, you're not innovating. Too many people fear mistakes. So they never take risks. They play it safe. But playing it safe is the riskiest move in the long run. At Amazon, we created a culture where it was okay to fail, as long as we learned from it and tried again. So, the next time you fail, don't break down. Break through. Thought balloon lesson 3. Be curious, not comfortable. Comfort is dangerous. Once Amazon became successful, it would have been easy to relax. Just focus on books. Just enjoy the money. But that's not how you grow. I've always followed one principle. Stay curious. That's how we entered cloud computing, launched Kindle, started Alexa, and even built rockets. Curiosity leads to questions. Questions lead to exploration. And exploration leads to invention. If you want to live a full life, don't just follow the path. Explore it. Challenge it. Create your own. Hourglass not done lesson 4. Time is the most valuable resource. I can always earn more money. But I can never earn more time. That's why I treat time like treasure. At Amazon, I kept my schedule tight. I said no to things that didn't matter. I focused on high-impact decisions. Even in life, I try to spend time on what truly matters. Building, learning, being with loved ones, making a difference. You only get so many hours in a lifetime. Spend them wisely. Footprints Lesson 5. Build your life with regret minimization. When I quit my job on Wall Street to start Amazon, I was scared. What if I failed? What if I lost everything? What if people laughed at me? But I asked myself a simple question. When I'm 80 years old, will I regret not trying this? The answer was clear, yes. That's how I made my decision. I call it the regret minimization framework, a tool I've used throughout my life. Don't ask yourself, what's easy? Ask, what will I regret not doing? That's where your real path begins. Globe Showing Europe Africa Lesson 6. Use your success to help others. When Amazon grew big, I became one of the richest people in the world. Some people criticized me. Others praised me. But for me, money was never the end goal. It was always a tool. That's why I started the Bezos Earth Fund, to help fight climate change. That's why I support Blue Origin, to help build a future where space is open to all. That's why I launched the Day One Fund, to support homeless families and early childhood education. Success is not about what you have. It's about what you give. If you're lucky enough to build something great, share it. Lift others up. Be useful to the world. Compass Lesson 7. Always stay a student. Even today, I read books. I ask questions. I learn from others, even interns, engineers, or kids. Because the moment you stop learning, you start falling behind. The world is changing fast. New ideas, new technologies, new challenges. To stay relevant, stay humble. Stay hungry. No matter how big you get, never think you know it all. Be a student for life. Lightbulb final thoughts. Looking back, I see a life full of choices. Some smart, some scary, some painful. But every choice shaped me. I've learned that real success is not about being the smartest or the richest. It's about having courage. It's about listening. It's about building with purpose. And above all, it's about never giving up. My journey started in a small garage with a wooden door for a desk. No fame, no guarantees, just an idea and the will to try. If there's one thing I hope you remember from my story, it's this. You don't have to be born rich to do something big. You just have to believe and begin. Jeff Bezos' life story, leaving a legacy that inspires the world. Every journey must come to a turning point. For me, that moment came in 2021, after nearly 27 years of building Amazon. I made a big decision. I stepped down as CEO and handed over the leadership to Andy Jassy, someone I had worked with for many years. A man who understood Amazon's values deeply. People were shocked. Why would Jeff Bezos leave Amazon now? They asked. The truth is, I wasn't leaving. I was evolving. I had spent almost 3 decades building Amazon from a garage startup into one of the biggest companies in the world. I had led it through storms, failures, and unbelievable growth. But now, it was time for something else. Time to focus on my legacy. Counterclockwise arrows button from CEO to visionary. Even after stepping down as CEO, I didn't walk away from Amazon. I became executive chairman, still involved in big decisions, but with more time to focus on the future. Not just for the company, but for the world. You see, I've always believed in building for generations. Not just for today. And that's what legacy really means. What you leave behind should be bigger than what you took with you. So I started giving more time and energy to my other missions. Rocket Blue Origin, reaching for the stars. Ever since I was a little boy, I dreamed of space. It wasn't about escaping Earth. It was about protecting Earth by moving heavy industry into space and keeping our home planet clean and beautiful. With Blue Origin, I'm building reusable rockets. The goal is to make space travel safe, affordable, and possible for millions of people. In July 2021, I went to space myself. Just for a few minutes, but for me, it was a dream come true. I looked down at Earth, and in that moment, I felt something powerful. We are so small, so fragile, so connected. And I knew more than ever that I wanted to spend my life building things that matter. Globe Showing Europe Africa Bezos Earth Fund, healing the planet. Another part of my legacy is helping our planet survive. In 2020, I launched the Bezos Earth Fund, committing $10 billion to fight climate change. We fund projects that plant trees, protect oceans, reduce carbon emissions, and support scientists and activists all over the world. Why? Because there's no business on a dead planet. Amazon also pledged to be carbon neutral by 2040 to 10 years ahead of the Paris Climate Agreement. We're investing in electric vehicles, clean energy, and more sustainable packaging. I want future generations to look back and say, they didn't just build companies. They protected the earth too. Blue Heart Day One Fund, helping people today. While building the future is important, I never forget about the people who are struggling right now. That's why I started the Day One Fund. It focuses on two big missions. 1. Helping homeless families. 2. Giving kids in low-income communities a strong start in life. We support shelters, education programs, and community leaders working at the ground level. Because real change starts at home. One person, one family, one child at a time. Speech balloon how I want to be remembered. People often ask, Jeff, how do you want to be remembered? I don't care about statues. I don't care about being the richest. I don't care about awards. What I care about is this. Did I leave the world better than I found it? Did I inspire others to build? Did I help people dream bigger? If the answer is yes, then I've done my job. Because to me, legacy is not what you own. It's what you create. It's who you lift. It's what you teach. Lightbulb final words to you, the listener. If you're watching this video right now, maybe you're feeling stuck. Maybe you're dreaming of doing something big. Maybe you're scared. Maybe people laugh at your ideas. Maybe you feel like you're not ready. Let me tell you something. I was a boy from a broken family. I had no special powers. No secret path. Just a crazy dream. And the courage to chase it. And look where it took me. So if I can do it, you can too. But here's the truth. It won't be easy. You will fail. You will doubt yourself. People will reject you. But if you keep going, if you learn, adapt, believe, you will build something powerful. And one day people will say, that person changed the world. So don't wait for permission. Start now. Even if it's small. Even if no one believes in you yet. Start. Because your legacy is not something you find. It's something you create, one decision at a time. Checkered flag Jeff Bezos' life story, the end. From a small boy fixing windmills with his grandpa, to a man building rockets for the stars. Jeff Bezos' story is not just about business. It's about vision, courage, and the power of never giving up. This is not the end of his journey. It's just another chapter. And maybe, just maybe, your story is the next one waiting to be written.